Today, we study Amadis de Gaula, one of the most significant and influential works of chivalric romance. It was a literary phenomenon, a story that truly swept across Europe in the 16th century. Though its definitive form, the one published in 1508 by Garci Rodríguez de Montalvo, hails from Spain. The tale itself possesses deeper roots. It likely originated much earlier, possibly in Portugal, perhaps as early as the 14th century. Unfortunately, these earlier versions are lost to time. Montalvo's rendition, carefully divided into 4 books, became the bedrock, the cornerstone of a vast cycle of sequels and imitations. It profoundly shaped the ideals of chivalry for generations and deeply influenced later literature. Most famously, perhaps, it served as the primary target for Cervantes' brilliant satire in Don Quixote. To truly understand Amadis, we need to appreciate the rich soil from which it grew, that fascinating confluence of medieval tradition and the burgeoning Renaissance. The literary landscape of the late Middle Ages was dominated by the tradition of chivalric romance. Born in 12th century France, with foundational works like those of Chrétien de Troyes, this genre initially flourished in verse. However, by the 14th and 15th centuries, it transitioned predominantly into prose. These narratives celebrated an idealized code of conduct, known simply as chivalry. Knights were expected to demonstrate exceptional prowess in arms, unwavering loyalty to their lord and their chosen lady, courage in the face of any danger, courtesy towards all, and a steadfast commitment to protecting the weak and upholding justice. Central to so many romances was the concept of courtly love. This was often a secret, highly idealized, and incredibly demanding devotion of a knight to a noblewoman. This love, this devotion, served as the very inspiration for his heroic deeds. Knights embarked on perilous quests, battling not only rival knights but also monstrous creatures, fearsome giants, and malevolent sorcerers. They frequently encountered enchanted landscapes, magical objects, and frankly, supernatural interventions. The Arthurian legends, often called the Matter of Britain, provided a vast reservoir of characters, settings, and motifs that profoundly influenced subsequent romances, including Amadis. While Amadis itself is set in a fantastical geography, blending Britain, France, or Gaula, and imaginary locations like the famed Firm Island. Its spirit is deeply imbued with these established romance conventions. The historical context of the Iberian Peninsula during the 14th and 15th centuries, the period when Amadis likely first took shape, is also crucial. This was an era marked by the final intense stages of the Reconquista, that centuries-long struggle by Christian kingdoms to reclaim territory from Muslim rule. This ongoing conflict fostered a society where military virtues, personal honor, noble lineage, and steadfast Christian faith were held in the highest esteem. The powerful kingdoms of Castile and Aragon were consolidating their power, laying the essential groundwork for a unified Spain. The ideals celebrated so vividly in Amadis, martial skill, unwavering loyalty, the defense of Christendom, the importance of noble birthright, all resonated strongly with the values of the Iberian aristocracy, who were deeply engaged in these conflicts and the process of political centralization. The figure of the knight-errant, wandering the world in search of adventure and righting wrongs, became a powerful literary archetype reflecting these very real societal preoccupations. Amadis de Gaula, therefore, stands at a significant cultural crossroads. It embodies the very spirit of medieval chivalry, while simultaneously benefiting from the technological and intellectual shifts of the early Renaissance. The invention of the printing press in the mid-15th century, was utterly instrumental in the novel's widespread dissemination. Montalvo's printed edition of 1508 made this lengthy, complex prose narrative accessible to a much wider audience than manuscripts ever could have reached. This fueled its rapid spread across Europe. Translations into French, Italian, German, English, and Dutch soon followed. So, while its core values were deeply rooted in the past, its medium, print prose, clearly looked towards the future of narrative fiction. Furthermore, Garci Rodríguez de Montalvo's own intervention was truly significant. He was likely working during the reign of the Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile, a period intensely focused on unifying Spain, both culturally and politically. Montalvo presented his edition not merely as entertainment, but also as a moral example. He claimed to have modernized the older text and, importantly, added a fifth book detailing the adventures of Amadis's son, Esplandian. He explicitly linked Esplandian's fictional exploits defending Constantinople to the contemporary struggles against the Ottoman Empire. This infused the romance with a sense of Christian crusading zeal, making it highly relevant to his time and likely pleasing his patrons. He almost certainly edited the existing material, perhaps toning down elements he deemed less suitable for the moral climate, and emphasizing specific lessons. He worked in essence to align the work with the broader cultural project of his time. The success of Montalvo's Amadis was, simply put, immediate and overwhelming. It became the prototype for the 16th century romance. It spawned dozens upon dozens of sequels and imitations, stories that followed the adventures of Amadis's descendants and other related knights. This created the vast, sprawling Amadisian cycle. For decades, it was the model of refined sentiment, heroic action, and elegant prose. However, its very success and the sheer proliferation of increasingly fantastical and often less skillfully written imitations eventually led to criticism and parody. By the end of the 16th century, the genre's perceived excesses were ripe for satire. Enter Miguel de Cervantes. In Don Quixote, published in 1605 and 1615, Cervantes created his unforgettable knight-errant, a man whose mind has been tragically, comically, addled by reading far too many chivalric romances. And the prime example? The very book he seeks to emulate? Amadis de Gaula. Yet, while Cervantes masterfully critiques the genre's detachment from reality, his parody is quite nuanced. He clearly acknowledges Amadis's literary merit. During the infamous book-burning scene in Don Quixote's library, the priest spares Amadis, declaring it unequivocally the best of all the books of this kind. Paradoxically, Cervantes' masterful satire ensured the lasting fame of Amadis, forever linking these two monumental works in literary history. Now, let us turn to the story itself, the narrative woven through Montalvo's first 4 books. The tale begins, as many do, with forbidden love. King Perion of Gaula, while visiting the kingdom of Brittany, falls secretly, passionately in love with the beautiful princess Elisena. Their clandestine union results, inevitably, in the birth of a child. Fearing scandal, Elisena places her newborn son in a sturdy ark, along with his father's own sword and ring as tokens of identity, and sets him adrift on a river. The ark is discovered, providentially, by the knight Gandales, near the sea in Scotland. Gandales raises the boy alongside his own son, Gandalin. The child, initially unnamed, displays extraordinary strength and innate nobility from a very young age. He becomes known simply as the Child of the Sea. Meanwhile, King Perion eventually marries Elisena publicly. They later have another son, named Galaor. The child of the sea is taken to the court of King Languines of Scotland, and there fate intervenes. He meets the incomparably beautiful Princess Oriana, daughter of King Lisuarte of Great Britain, who is being fostered at the Scottish court. Despite their youth, they fall deeply, irrevocably in love. They pledge eternal fidelity to each other. It is Oriana who inspires the young hero to seek knighthood. He travels to King Lisuarte's court in Great Britain. There, in a moment rich with dramatic irony, he is knighted by his own unknown father, King Perion, who happens to be visiting. Upon being knighted, he chooses the name Amadis de Gaula, guided by a prophecy, though his true parentage remains, for now, hidden. Amadis immediately embarks on a series of dazzling adventures. His goal? To prove his worth and win fame, all for Oriana's sake. Accompanied by his ever-loyal squire Gandalin, Gandalez's son, he battles monstrous creatures like the terrifying Endriago. He defeats arrogant, boastful knights. He overthrows cruel tyrants, and he rescues countless damsels in distress. He often travels incognito, or under assumed names. Like the Knight of the Green Sword, he gains formidable allies along the way, including his brave cousin Agrages of Estravaus and, eventually, his valiant half-brother Galaor. Galaor also becomes a renowned knight, though the text often portrays him as perhaps more inclined to fleeting romances, a stark contrast to Amadis's unwavering, singular devotion to Oriana. Throughout these early adventures, Amadis establishes himself as a truly peerless warrior. He is guided always by strict chivalric principles and fueled constantly by his intense love for Oriana. He also faces the dangerous enmity of the powerful sorcerer Archelaus the Enchanter. Archelaus becomes a recurring, formidable antagonist, often capturing heroic knights and virtuous ladies through wicked trickery and dark magic. Counterbalancing this dark influence is the benevolent sorceress Urganda, the Unknown, sometimes called the Unrecognized. She frequently appears, often in disguise, to offer cryptic prophecies, vital aid, and crucial guidance to Amadis and his trusted allies. Book 2 sees Amadis serving Oriana's father, King Lisuarte of Great Britain. His incredible exploits continue. He wins decisive battles for Lisuarte and triumphs spectacularly in grand tournaments. However, courtly intrigue and poisonous jealousy inevitably lead to friction. King Lisuarte, though often indebted to Amadis for his very safety and kingdom, can be proud and, unfortunately, easily swayed by deceitful counselors who deeply resent Amadis's fame and growing influence. Amadis faces dangerous conspiracies and endures periods of unjust royal disfavor. Yet, his loyalty to Lisuarte, primarily as Oriana's father, remains steadfast. He endures this even when unjustly treated. Oriana, meanwhile, though bound by the strictures of courtly decorum, secretly communicates with Amadis. She reaffirms her undying love and sometimes skillfully guides his actions through trusted messengers, like her faithful maid, the Damsel of Denmark. A truly pivotal adventure in this section is the conquest of the Ile Ferme, the Firm Island. This is an enchanted realm, ruled by the sage Apollodon. Only the knight who loves most faithfully, and the lady who is his equal in love, can possibly pass the magical tests within the Arch of Loyal Lovers and the Forbidden Chamber. Eventually, after many trials, Amadis and Oriana succeed in this demanding test. This proves, beyond any doubt, the unparalleled strength and fidelity of their love. It further solidifies Amadis's legendary renown, but it also, perhaps predictably, increases the envy and resentment of his rivals at court. Galaor, meanwhile, continues his own series of adventures. He showcases his bravery and considerable charm, often rescuing damsels and engaging in numerous, less permanent love affairs. His path provides a fascinating, often lighter, contrast to Amadis's intense, singular devotion. Book 3 escalates the tension between love and duty to a critical point. Amadis and Oriana, frustrated by the seemingly insurmountable obstacles to their union, secretly marry. This union, kept hidden from the world, results in the birth of their son, Esplandian. The child must be sent away immediately, raised in secrecy by the pious hermit Naciano, to avoid discovery, scandal, and King Lisuarte's certain wrath. The political situation at Lisuarte's court continues to deteriorate. Amadis's enemies conspire relentlessly, determined to turn the king definitively against him. Through misunderstandings, manipulated letters, and vicious courtly slander, Oriana herself is tragically led to mistakenly believe Amadis has been unfaithful, or has somehow slighted her honor. Heartbroken and enraged by her perceived rejection, Amadis renounces his very identity. He retreats to the desolate, windswept Peña Pobre, the poor rock, taking the name Beltenebros, meaning the fair Tenebrous. He lives there as a hermit, utterly consumed by grief and lovesickness, nearly dying from sheer despair. This episode is a classic, poignant representation of the lover's profound suffering within the courtly love tradition. Eventually, thankfully, Oriana learns the truth of the deceptions. She sends word immediately, begging his forgiveness and urging his return to the world. Amadis, instantly revived by her message, returns to the life of chivalry. He performs yet more incredible feats of arms. However, the political machinations against him continue unabated. King Lisuarte, influenced by manipulative advisors and perhaps harboring his own jealousy of Amadis's power and the undeniable bond he shares with Oriana, makes decisions that increasingly alienate Amadis and his powerful network of allies. This network includes many kings and great knights who owe Amadis their lives or kingdoms. The situation becomes critical when an arranged marriage is proposed for Oriana with the Emperor of Rome. This pushes the conflict towards its breaking point. Amadis, feeling he has no other choice, rescues Oriana to prevent her from being sent to Rome. This act Lisuarte views as nothing less than open rebellion. War now seems inevitable. Book 4 brings these simmering conflicts to a dramatic, violent head. A massive war erupts. King Lisuarte, supported by the might of the Roman Empire and other allies, declares war on Amadis. Amadis, in turn, rallies an equally formidable coalition. His allies include his own father, King Perion, his brother Galaor, who, despite any past tensions, demonstrates his ultimate loyalty, his cousin Agrajes, and numerous other powerful knights and rulers he has aided over the years. This sets the stage for truly epic battles, involving hundreds upon hundreds of knights, desperate sieges, and acts of almost unbelievable individual heroism on both sides. The scale of the conflict is immense, threatening to tear apart the entire known world of chivalry. Both Urganda, the Unknown, and Archelaus the Enchanter intervene frequently, using their powerful magic to influence events. Urganda consistently works towards reconciliation and the fulfillment of ancient prophecies that favor Amadis and his noble lineage. Archelaus, conversely, continues his relentless attempts to destroy Amadis and all his allies. The war brings immense suffering and tragic loss. Galaor is grievously wounded. Many great knights, on both sides, meet their end. Amadis and Lisuarte even face each other indirectly on the battlefield. A heart-wrenching, near-tragic confrontation between the world's greatest knight and the father of the woman he loves more than life itself. The resolution, when it finally comes, arrives through a combination of factors. The sheer, devastating cost of the war becomes apparent to everyone involved. Key revelations finally come to light, including the public acknowledgement of Amadis's royal parentage and the truth of his secret marriage to Oriana. Urganda plays a crucial role in mediating and revealing truths that skillfully diffuse the conflict. Ultimately, King Lisuarte recognizes Amadis's profound virtue, the terrible injustice he has suffered, and the undeniable legitimacy of his sacred bond with Oriana. Peace is finally restored. Amadis and Oriana's marriage is celebrated publicly at long last. Amadis is recognized not just as the greatest knight, but as a figure destined for true greatness, ensuring the continuation of his lineage through their son, Esplandian, whose own adventures will form the basis of Montalvo's Book 5. The original 4 books conclude with Amadis and Oriana gloriously united, their profound love finally triumphant over seemingly insurmountable adversity. The world of chivalry is restored to harmony, albeit deeply scarred by the bitter conflict. The enduring appeal, the lasting power of Amadis de Gaula, lies in its masterful blend of core themes absolutely central to the chivalric imagination. Chivalry itself is paramount, explored through countless demonstrations of knightly prowess, adherence to strict honor codes, loyalty, and the essential protection of the innocent. Amadis himself is presented as the perfect embodiment of these complex ideals. Courtly love is the driving force behind the entire narrative. Amadis's unwavering devotion to Oriana fuels his heroism, while their relationship somehow endures separation, misunderstanding, jealousy, and immense societal obstacles. The tension between personal love and feudal loyalty, particularly Amadis's complex, evolving relationship with King Lisuarte, forms a central dramatic conflict throughout the books. Adventure and the marvelous permeate the story. Knights constantly seek quests, bravely battle supernatural foes, and navigate truly enchanted realms. This reflects a worldview where magic and everyday reality often intertwined. The theme of identity is also deeply significant, as Amadis, born in secret, must forcefully establish his worth and reclaim his rightful heritage entirely through his own extraordinary deeds. Finally, the romance explores timeless notions of justice, rightful kingship, and the delicate maintenance of social order, all within the idealized framework of the chivalric world. In literary history, Amadis de Gaula holds a truly pivotal position. It represents the absolute apex of the prose chivalric romance genre. It codified its conventions and definitively set the standard for countless subsequent works. Its influence extended far beyond romances, shaping pastoral novels, epic poetry, and even contributing to the early development of the modern novel, particularly in its focus on character, complex plotting, and the use of extended prose narrative. It became a genuine cultural touchstone, referenced in art, elaborate festivals, and real-world courtly life. Its relationship with Don Quixote is fascinatingly symbiotic. While Cervantes expertly satirized its excesses, he simultaneously acknowledged its undeniable power and literary merit. And in doing so, he cemented its place, forever, in the literary canon. In conclusion, Amadis de Gaula, especially in Garci Rodríguez de Montalvo's highly influential version, is far more than just an old, forgotten tale of knights and dragons. It is a rich, complex tapestry, skillfully woven from medieval traditions and emergent Renaissance sensibilities. It stands as a fascinating product of its unique historical moment on the Iberian Peninsula. As an epic narrative encompassing profound love, brutal war, powerful magic, and unwavering chivalric virtue, it utterly captivated Europe for over a century. It left an indelible mark on Western literature and continues to offer a valuable, compelling window into the ideals, the passions, and the vivid imagination of a bygone era. It stands, without question, as a foundational text, essential for understanding the long and intricate evolution of narrative fiction in Europe.